In the darkness of night, one candle can be seen from miles away. It was time for me to light my own candle. I myself have been on a consistent journey to uncover who I am, to get in touch with who I'm being. I think I've walked the planet for a long time as a very arrogant and self-centered and righteous ass. And now that I know that, I'm experiencing a little bit of freedom around it. So that has definitely been the first step. And the next step is to actively seek out people and places and, masters of being, if you will, that can coach me into a higher level of understanding and consciousness, to be more present to the gifts that are available in every moment, every waking hour, and to breathe more. I've been breathing a lot more. Breathe.
When you want to discover the gift that nature has given to you, first thing is we must stop blaming ourselves. Self-blame is the biggest obstruction for one to recognize one's gift.
It'll stop you every time from being able to live the life that you were meant to live, because it's thoughts like, who do I think I am? I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not educated enough. I'm not the right color. When you let those things drive your life, they do.
There's a reason why some people can't figure out what they want. And it's because when they were growing up, their parents never let them decide on what they wanted. Every time they were about to decide on something they wanted, their parents would jump in and say, no, you don't want that, you want this. Or you can't have that, but you can have this. And they never allowed the child to experiment on small things with wanting things, seeing what happens when you get them, and perhaps experimenting with different ways of getting them. And so when they grow up, they have no confidence. They don't trust their own wanter, you might say, because they've never used it, because every time they decided to want something, somebody told them it was wrong, or they couldn't have it, or there was some reason, no, you don't want to do it that way.
Some people never get into that passionate experience and know that that's it for them. Because we find a lot of people take on a life that's not their own, at which they can never succeed. And what we mean by that is they take on the life that their parents planned for them, or they rebel against the life their parents planned for them, depending on their persuasion. But either way, it's not their life, or they took on a life that the church decreed for them, or the politic decreed for them. They've never really got in touch with their own experience.
We all have very different abilities. We have very different talents. We have very different gifts. And most school systems are designed to ignore them. But the problem is, with the education system, is that it's a system. And it's a system that's based on the principles of manufacturing and industrialism. The idea is if you keep with the program and you do everything that's required of you, you'll pop out the far end and you'll be qualified and you can carry on and lead a life, that will be profitable and secure. And none of that is true. And it's not true because human life is not linear. Human life is organic. And human life is not standardized, and it's not conformist. It's diverse and extraordinarily rich and various. But for all kinds of reasons, not least of which is education, we're socialized into thinking that certain types of ability are more important than all other sorts of ability. And it's why so many people think they don't have any, because they don't discover them.
A lot of us discount what we have to offer because we can't see how it's going to make us money, or it's not going to make us famous, or we're not going to get invited to be on Oprah, and so we feel like we're not making a difference.
Making a difference is not about a project. It's the way you show up in the world every single day. You're already making a difference, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, just by your presence. Your vibrational presence is always making a difference. You made a difference today to everyone who saw you, felt you, or heard you. So the question then is, what kind of difference am I making? Don't measure it in terms of money. Don't measure it in terms of fame. Don't measure it in terms of even how many people you've affected. Shifting one person is sacred.
If people looked for their gift, they would find it. But the world has mesmerized each of us to some extent and degree. It has hypnotized us, if you will. The world says power is in status symbols. The power is in the position that you hold in the world. The power is in what kind of automobile you drive, what kind of neighborhood you live in. That's where the power is. The power is in the money. When the power is in you, and it's in me, it's always been there. But you'll never find it if your eyes are stuck on someone else's gift on the television. If your eyes are a gaze at someone else who's living their dream. What about you and your dream?
Choose in favor of your passion. Choose in favor of the things that have greatest meaning to you. Your passions are like breadcrumbs that lead you onto the path of your gift. And know that every moment is a choice. And you're either choosing closer to your gift or moving farther away from it in every single moment. So what do you want to choose?
The secret of life is finding out what you love to do, developing a deliberate practice to get really good at it. And that's the foundation that will lead you on a serendipitous journey to riches beyond your wildest imagination. One of these days, you'll find the thing to do.
What you love and are interested in is a clue to what your gift is. And what you love will evolve as you do. But what I know for each person is that there is, as unique as our thumbprint, that wondrous thing that is ours. And you will begin to find it by paying attention to what you love. And you'll notice also that when you're in your gift, you feel more alive, you feel more passionate, you feel as if I was born for this.
When you start to tap into who you really are, you don't have to make yourself be happy. You just get happy. You know, you feel trusting. You feel like that voice of the soul, as it starts to come through, is always perfect. It unveils your path for you. It brings you what you need. It connects you with everyone you need.
You know it's your gift when it's effortless. You know it's your gift when it's natural, when it feels beautiful and simple. And everybody already knows that. It's just a matter of remembering.
It's about finding your true spirit. And you know you've found it in a way because time changes for you. If you're doing something that doesn't resonate properly with you, 5 minutes can feel like an hour. But if you're doing the thing that really is part of your being, that is coming from you, then an hour can feel like 5 minutes.
As you activate your gift into the world, you get that momentum behind you. You never know what the light has in store for you. You never know what that maximum level looks like because there is no maximum level. It just keeps scaling up higher and higher and higher, and you just keep touching more and more people, and that momentum and that inspirational power keeps flowing through you, and then that drives you to go even deeper and deeper into your gift. And I believe that that is the source of genius.
At different times in your life, you may have different gifts to discover. Your gift when you're younger might be that you're going to be a mother and put all of your energy into being a mother. And the gift is of love, of nurturing. At some point, because we are individuals who are growing and changing and shifting all the time, whether we know it or not. That gift might not feel big enough for you anymore. You might have outgrown it. You might feel there's something else calling to you. This can be a moment of a lot of crisis for people because we feel, but this is what I chose to do. I wanted to be a full-time mom, or I wanted to be a lawyer, or I wanted to be an artist. Suddenly, it's not fulfilling me. There's nothing wrong with those moments. It means that you have shifted, you've morphed into something else, and that based on the foundation of all that you've learned and all you've become, something more is wanting to be born. These are times when we have to be really courageous, sometimes let go of things that we've defined ourselves by, and be willing to be rebirthed into someone and something new, and discover the new gift inside of you.
If you have not gotten that gift, if you're still looking and searching out there, you got to look into your life and go, what would I do no matter what? If the world blew up, what would I do anyway? If I lost my family, what would I do every day for free? What would I do without any remuneration? What would I do as a nonprofit charity? And if you ask yourself that question enough, and particularly if you meditate on that question long enough, I believe it's inevitable that you will find your gift.
I think the main thing you could do to discover your own gift is to look inside and say, what brings me the greatest joy? What has been the thing that when I do it, I'm happiest? And when you look at what brings you joy, it takes you back into the essence of who you are and what you're meant to do. You know, it's easy to listen to a rock and roll station. It's harder to hear your body, to hear your intuition, to hear God's voice, if you will, speaking through you. It's always called the still, small voice within.
Specific practices to find your gift. One would be practice more solitude. Many people are afraid to be alone with themselves, but it is in the silence of your own soul that your inner voice speaks, and you're able to hear and follow the voice as it directs you.
Solitude will take you places. Go into the woods. Go and bathe yourself in a stream. Listen to the birds singing. Go to the ocean waves and just hear the music. The world, the universe is talking to you.
Another specific thing that you can do is to practice loving yourself. Giving yourself permission to live your dreams. Give yourself permission to be well. Give yourself permission to be okay. Give yourself permission to be forgiven for past mistakes. Give yourself permission to start over. All of these are acts of love.
I'm in Rome, and I'm on the phone with my sister Cheyenne. Look. So I get a call from my sister Cheyenne, and it was a pretty profound call because what she said was, when is the work you're doing in the world gonna match the man I know? When's that gonna happen? Because you're really good at blowing things up. And I know you have a lot of fun doing it. But it's not a match for who you've become. And, you know, and it was a great question. And I really had to think about it. And she was right, because on one level, I was over here making the Hollywood movies and trying so hard to get something that was all about, you know, the next biggest thing I could do. It wasn't about who I was being. And suddenly I had my answer. It was right in front of me. It had been there the entire time. So my purpose is clear, to share all these amazing people and the things that I've learned with the rest of the world. I'm just one of many people that's experiencing this awakening, this rise in consciousness.
As we activate our potential, bliss, ecstasy, happiness and joy is in the giving of the gift. Because my priority is sharing. My priority is giving. My priority is releasing life energy. My priority is radiating. So my priority isn't getting, because if I go to getting, now I resist the very thing that I want. So I'm on now a precipice of becoming more myself. I'm available to more good than I've ever imagined to come forward in my life. And I'm not under the illusion that I know what that good is. Now, transformation can occur. And we always know it's transformation because it surprises us. If it doesn't surprise you, it's not transformation.
When you start to use your gift to serve, magic happens in your life. It's greater than you could have imagined. It's like a soloist becoming part of a band. And you're part of a whole choir of angels that are also in the same vibration right now. The more you give, the more things come back to you, and then it becomes what you really desire is more opportunities to give. And if that's what you're wanting, that's what you're really wanting, is to serve and support, you find yourself in Iraq. You find yourself making music in an ancient culture. One of the most spiritual feelings I've ever felt is that connection between people I thought were my enemies and myself. Well, working in Iraq for the last 3 years, when we would start the drum circle, people often came from different parts of Iraq, different language groups and different religious groups. So there would be an initial resistance. And you could see the layers of resistance falling off people's shoulders. And pretty soon, over time, everyone came together and playing their own part. Not making my music or their music, but coming together and forming something new, a new song. And everyone was just playing off each other's energy. I think it's a great metaphor for a beautiful way to live. There is a duet that's being called out in our culture right now, in our world. To have the gift of traveling the world and interacting with people through music and sharing really our heart vibrations across the world, it gives me great hope for peace on the planet.
See, anything we do in our life, we do either expecting some sort of happiness or we do as an expression of joy. To shift from this position of expecting something to sharing what you can with the world, with the people around you, makes all the difference.
My name is Tatankamani. It means walking buffalo. My birth name is Andrew. I'm a sun dancer and a pipe carrier and a ceremonial leader and just a common man. People say that the gift I have is to help people learn about themselves. However, I did choose to live a life that enhances that so that it can be given back in an appropriate way, in a respectful way, and in a traditional way, in a way that only does good things. Because we can't only take in this world, we always have to give back. True gifts are the ones that we receive and give back to the world in whatever way is necessary. It doesn't mean as much if we just hold on to it and keep it to ourselves. It's often hard and challenging to walk that line, to continually work on those gifts that each person is given. I think a lot of people aren't willing to do that.
Why aren't people willing to do that?
Because it's hard.
It's that commitment to excellence that forces us to grow, and that commitment to not backing away when it's tough, that the real satisfaction, the deeper satisfaction comes from. And it's the giving of our gift where the fulfillment comes. You know, when you're out there serving and people are receiving it, and you've had to work hard to make that happen, and then it just blossoms in its fullness, I don't think it gets any better than that.
Here we are at Refugio Altiplano. I'm Scott Peterson. I've lived here for 12 years now. I run a shamanic healing center, an integrative medicine center where we heal people with natural means. People come to us from all over the world for healing purposes, for guidance, and also for learning. And a lot of the people these days are insulated from their own spiritual lives. They have very little free time, very little recreation. They have very little time to be alone. They're constantly under the influence of television, antidepressant drugs, of very abrasive people around them on a regular and constant basis. And when they strip off these negative influences, they inevitably will take a certain transition period to come back into a state of homeostasis and calm. But from there, they can begin to grow in a very positive and real direction. If you want to create a positive environment that reflects your inner and higher self, what you have to do is you have to always give energy to the things you like and always take energy away from the things you don't like.
So when we're giving, we're coming from a premise of abundance, and that creates the space for even more abundance to flow into our lives. There's nothing that you give that you won't experience. It's like if you give someone a smile, you're smiling. You're feeling a smile. Or if you give them the gift of laughter, you're the one that's laughing. Or if you give the gift of love, you're feeling the love because it's flowing through you. And as it flows through you, it's like it comes back. It's in the giving that we receive.
It's especially important for all people, men and women, to acknowledge the warrior side of their being. Because when you don't acknowledge that side, it comes out in unhealthy ways.
Ingestation of pizza manifestation.
As much pizza as possible.
All right, let's go, pizza. You ready?
Ready.
Yeah, bang it up, go. Look at anybody famous or anyone who's achieved their goal. They weren't that when they were born. Your left side's dipping just a touch. Somewhere along the line, they conceived it, this vision of themselves, whether it was singing or dancing or playing football or whatever it is. Then they believed they could do it. And once you got that belief, and I think that's where people get stuck. They conceive, they have the conception of what they like, but they don't believe that they can achieve it. And that little block right there in between first and second gear stays inside for their whole entire lives. And if you were to talk to them when they were 80 or 90 or 100 years old and they're lying on their deathbed, they're not gonna say, I'm glad I stayed in this little shell and never bursted out. They're gonna wish. They're just gonna say, I should have done that. Why didn't I do that? I could have done it. In fact, the word inspire literally means to breathe in spirit, because you can do this for an hour in the morning or an hour at night and carry that spirit with you for a very, very long time. And I think that a person who is truly in spirit through inspiration can accomplish anything they want and can easily manifest anything that they're trying to manifest.
Discovering your gift is one thing. Living it, that is something else. It requires as much focus and dedication as anything I've ever done. It is a challenge to every fiber of my being to be in service to what I am becoming. The more I studied and meditated on sharing my gifts, the more I realized the universal spiritual laws I had experienced were continuing to unfold within my being. And once again, I awakened to this unified field of awareness where everything was connected in perfect vibrational harmony with everything else. As I became open and receptive to this infinite loop of energy, I realized that the more I shared my gifts, the more it inspired others to share their gifts. I was feeding them, and they were feeding me. There was a universal spiritual principle at work, the infinity feedback loop of creation.
Giving a gift is part of the sacred process of sustaining the community and sharing the wealth. And I believe that's really what lies behind this idea of discovering your gift. That you're not discovering it just for yourself, but you're discovering your gift so you can offer it to other people. And that in offering it to other people, you're building a stronger sense of community between yourself and the people that we share the earth with. That it's part of contributing to and being part of the commonwealth of humanity. And in that respect, discovering your own gifts is an act of being selfless as well as one of fulfilling yourself.
Art has always been a gift, and that's one of the reasons why we place such a high value on paintings, because they reveal what's inside, what's underneath. One of the gifts you have as an artist is you feel more, you see more, you connect more. One of the most important moments of my life is when I started to discover my own gift. Once my heart was open, and I began to discover that I was to be an artist after spending all my adult life in business. It was a profound realization. And when I look back in time, it's been 20 years now, I'm so grateful that I didn't stay in what I thought when I was young and I wanted to be an architect or a business owner. I wasn't stuck or married to that for my whole life. I began to change and discover who and what I was. So one of my jobs as a teacher and as an artist is to introduce people to the heart and the heart chakra. And I haven't found a better way to practice opening your heart than in the process of painting.
I decided to sell our very popular restaurant in Whistler and pursue my dreams and work with children in the arts and crafts field. I have over 200 children that want to do art with me. I've never been so poor financially, but I've never been so rich in my heart. It's filled the void because we were never able to have children. And now I have more children in my life than anyone could ever ask for. And I hope to bring this mandala back for the children to see that your art never has to be perfect, that there are mistakes in here, and I know they'll love it. You can never have too many sparkles.
There's something here, but you can't get to it through the mind. You have to get to it through the heart.
I think the very influential way or channel to reach mind is those who the drawing or the mandalas, because it's a visual impression. It's very, very influential. The way to express their deep feeling, deep awareness. I think in order to develop the value of compassion, it's the value of forgiveness. Of course, artists, I think, have a special role through their own profession. And media also. I think a very heavy responsibility. And the politicians. And everyone.
Everything on this planet is actually just a certain kind of vibration, vibrating molecules, vibrating particles. This is physics. I'm talking about spiritual physics here. And you are actually just a vibrational being. We are actually all vibrational beings before anything else.
We call ourselves human beings, not human doings, because what we're really bringing into any situation is the quality of our being. And so when we're being loving, when we're being inclusive,